But it's easier for me, or more important for me now to look at the accomplishment of the 10th Mountain Division. Its formation, the reason for it, its use, its success, not to ignore the horrors of the people that were in the front lines experienced. But at this point, after all the tragedies have been exhausted in repetition and in either through book or film or in persons' minds, the honor has got to become apparent that we members were members of a unique combat infantry division with a mission in combat of defeating the enemy, which required planning, the execution of a plan, the excellence of the people to carry it out, and the direction involved down to the smallest unit squad leader to accomplish that mission. The tragedy goes along with that. But the makeup of the war has got to be bigger than the individual tragedy. Because we were all there for a reason. You know, what I'm saying is that's to accomplish a mission. Unfortunately, tragedy goes along with it. Any war.
What do you think?
And the accomplishment of that mission, it seems to me, has got to be the saving grace of, well, I don't know whether I've expressed myself correctly. It's got to be everyone's realization that they were important part of a bigger whole.
And did you feel that way?
Yeah, I do now, yeah. Yeah, you know, you lose some friends. You're lucky that you came out. Some guys are even luckier that they're still alive because, you know, maybe they lost both of their legs or something, but those things are tragedy, but Christ, you can't fill a book with that. Nobody would read it.
When you look back at the 10th now, what do you think is the value of what the 10th accomplished in World War II, and what is their place in history?
Well, first place, the caliber of the men in the 10th was something else. And therefore, that's part of the reason for his success. Maybe it's the basic reason for his success, the general overall caliber of the men. It was unique. In that sense, it was unique in the sense it was mountain troops and training in the mountains. It was properly used finally, where things had become bogged down, and it accomplished its mission. The esprit de corps that outfits like the Big Red One and the 82nd Airborne have, you see, is that over the years, they have been involved here and there, various wars and what have you. But it has maintained its identity through accomplishment of its mission. It has been successful in accomplishing its mission in combat with all types of caliber of people in it. And each employment has given rise to tragedy. And all members know that are living. But it's the mission. That's what establishes the 82nd Airborne. Everything they've given it, they've accomplished.
What was the value?
They missed their friends, if you know what I mean. They were killed. But the aspect, well, either publicly or from other parts of the military, that's why it's still there. That's why you understand that at one time with the new reduction in the military, that under certain presidents has occurred in numbers, that the 10th Division was on the table for being inactivated. It was once, you know, and it came back. But I don't know whether Dole or some of the politicians saved it. But there were only, at one time, there were only 4 divisions like the 10th Mountain Division, 4 light divisions, that were saved. 10th. In one sense, and maybe this sounds like a crass remark, it wasn't saved by the people we lost. It was saved because of the people, of the missions that it accomplished, which all people contributed to, even the people that were lost. So that's the way I look at it now. That I'm sure I missed the guys, and you know, the point I'm making, those things are tragic, and this happens in war.
When you look back on it now, what's the role of the 10th in history? What's their place in history, 60 years down?
Well, first place, the 10th Mountain Division is still there. I assume that other people besides those of us that were members of the 10th had something to do with the 10th Mountain Division being still in the order of battle for the Department of Army, the department in the Department of Army as part of the Department of Defense, current. And I would assume, the reason it is still there is because of the original 10th Mountain Division success in battle. The current military is all volunteer. World War II was volunteer and drafted. So you got a cross-section of the complete youth in the United States of America. Caliber for caliber, intelligence for intelligence, the way it was. And the 10th Mountain Division had very high caliber personnel, which the current military has because they're volunteers.
What do you think can be learned from what the 10th Mountain Division did in World War II for all the generations that have come after you? What's the one thing?
You mean the military, learning the military learned, or you as a civilian?
As a civilian, what is it that civilians can really appreciate about what the 10th Mountain Division accomplished? What's the legacy?
Well, the 10th Mountain Division was one worthwhile division among many worthwhile divisions in World War II. There was a special mission which it accomplished, but which required the specialty of the 10th Mountain Division, which was solve the stalemate in the Italian theater during World War II. It had become bogged down because they didn't have the experienced people to take the high ground. So I'm sure that the U.S. military, in the sense of infantry divisions, have learned since that time that operating in high mountainous country, you've got to take the high ground in order to be successful in combat. So I imagine that lesson has finally been learned. I just from a civilian aspect, one of the great things that comes out of war, in spite of the tragedy, is the bond and friendship of the people in any given outfit that you've been a part of. That can never be broken. The other thing which is good for all people to learn, especially young men, is discipline, which stands you in good life, in civilian life, in any capacity, in any job, executive, employee, anything. The next important thing that has come out of that, I think, for all youth, military service, is the ability to take orders and the ability to be criticized. That is part of maturity for youth to grow up. Without going into repeating history, the military over the years has been the single greatest contributor to the liberty of the American people. Not lawyers, not doctors, not any other professional other than the soldier. And to have served your country under periods of duress is an honor.
Can you think of anything else that you want to add that we haven't touched on? We've touched on a few things.
Well, I don't know. I suppose, yes, a lot of it is my personal philosophy. On the other hand, you get a chance to review all these things, and you know, you arrive at certain views which may be strictly personal. Maybe other people hold similar views or whatever, but you know, there's a certain amount of philosophy in that. But it is interesting to me. For example, I was born during World War I, 1917. I was in World War II. I stayed in the reserves for 6 years and then was called back out of civilian life for 2 years out of the reserve for the Korean War. So at age 36, I end up on my feet, and I haven't been in business, and I'm 36 years old. So I am sympathetic to some of these reserves who called over and they served 8 months over there, and then they come back, and then they call back again. I understand the problem, and the military has got one. They've got to handle this right. So all is not sweet when I talk about the military, but I understand it because I've been through it. On the other hand, that's been part of my life. And the mere fact, whether I liked it or not, I can't throw it out of my life. It's part of my life.
How did it shape you?
So everybody that comes out of war is more mature, I'll tell you that. Ooh, you betcha. They understand more than they did before they went in it.
Does it mean a lot to you to be 10th Mountain?
Yeah.
What does it mean to you?
It means, well, yes, because it was unique, but you understand that anybody that served in any outfit during World War II, simply because it was World War, the world was in it, all the youth in this country were in it, why then everybody should feel that honor, that they served their country. Yeah, and those of us felt, we feel basically the same way, maybe with one additional component, which is we were in a unique outfit that performed a specialty operation in a theater which had bogged down. The specialty operation was our assignment to take the high ground. That's what it amounted to, because which we trained for. It was, you might say, in fighting the enemy, the only problem was dislodging him from the heights. For us to know about operation in the mountains, like we've been doing it for 2.5 years in training. With the enemy was perched up over there, but you know, this was not different from us just because the mountains aren't as precipitous as they are in Colorado. It's the same business, take the high ground. So,
what do you think is the spirit of the 10th?
the spirit of the 10th, you mean the 10th that I know, or the 10th is the new 10th, or both of them together now?
The 10th that you know.
The spirit of the 10th. Well, I would think having served in the country in a specialized outfit, the commonality of that experience.
How would you quantify the mood of being in the 10th?
Well, special. It was a special outfit. You know, I think, you know, we have to be very careful, you know. The 82nd has a spirit and so forth. Ours is a spirit like theirs. You know, 101st, the 82nd, Big Red One, they all have national associations and have continued on through the years. You know, I think the spirit is evidence in our, in the, how much togetherness we have and have had over the years. And that continues the spirit of it. It seems to be embedded in us, and to define it, it has to come back, of course, to a commonality of an experience during wartime. It probably might have a spirit if we never entered combat. Might still have a spirit, because we were together training. But it certainly wouldn't be the same spirit as we now have, having been in combat.
What do you think is the value of preserving all this 10th personal history for generations to come?
Well, you've asked the right person, because I've been a history buff all my life, in the sense of thinking that that's how, that an examination of history tells you who you are, why you are. And this is just one component in that overall picture. Any preservation of history is very important. As they say, there are two ways to learn. One, you learn what to do, and the other thing that you learn is what not to do. And both are important. And therefore, the past is important to tell you who you are, and to some degree, maybe have some indicator as to where you're going.
Can you think of any specific reason that it's important to preserve 10th history?
Yes, because we are a unique outfit, and those people and like the descendants want to know who they are too, and they are part of the 10th. They're the sons and daughters, grandchildren and so forth of the 10th. They ought to know who they are too, and want to know who they are. And that's the reason for the preservation of that, so that there is some historical perspective showing the contribution of their forebears, of anybody's forebears, to the circumstances of their life at the time they lived it.
Can you think of anything else? I know, it's a lot.
What you? I don't know how this is going to turn out. I got thinking now that, Christ, I don't know what. I don't know what. I mean, I'm not talking about your total effort. How it's going to. That's going to be one of them. But I mean, I don't know what I said. How that. What you think about that? So, a bigger picture is the accomplishment of the outfit that you've got the patch of your sleeve on there. See, that's important too. Because you'd hate to be known to be a part of an outfit that didn't accomplish its mission, you know. You wouldn't be so proud as we are of ours. So the mission that's got to enter into it, that's what you were being trained for. That's what they used you for, and you did it. That's just like setting a goal for yourself in civilian life, and through hell and high water, finally achieving it. You see what I'm after here.